Shalom, shalom. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shalish Baal Yahweh, the servants, back at again with another video through the Spirit, right? So this one is when famine hits, some scriptures to think about, right? When famine hits, right, I'm going to go through a couple of scriptures to kind of think about and meditate on through the Spirit, right? I want to start out with this first and foremost that famine is going to happen, right? It's for surely going to happen. When? I can't say, but for sure it's going to happen, right? How do we know that? By the scriptures, right? So real fast, I'm gonna show you according to the scriptures how we know that famine is coming, right? And then really quickly, I'm gonna show some scriptures to think about or to meditate on when famine does happen, right? So let's go to these precepts right here. We'll start off in the book of Matthew, right? Hear the words of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, who in the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He see what he said out of his mouth, right? Let's go to Matthew Salakia. Make sure my screen is sharing. Present my screen. Oh, Salakia. All right, boom. So now my screen is sharing. Should be sharing now. There it is. All right, so the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse number 7, it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence." So key word, the Lord, Yahweh Shai, right? When the world even calls Jesus Christ, he said there shall be famines, meaning there are going to be famines, right? What is a famine, right? If you don't know what's a famine, when this, we can go to it, we're going to go to it, the definition by what they got here in the Greek, and then we also going to just look it up in the dictionary to what a famine is. Just to briefly just go over it, right? Because you might have some people that don't really know what a famine is, right? So it says scarcity of harvest, famine, right? Scarcity of food, dearth, famine, hunger, right? So basically, there's going to come a time where food is going to be scarce, right? Where a lot of people are going to be hungry or not, I say get unalived, right? Because there is no food, right? That's how scarce it's going to be, right? To the point that people are not going to survive. Not everybody going to go out like this, but a lot of people, right, are going to be destroyed by this famine that's to come, right? How do we know that, right? Let's go to Book of Second Edges, right? And we just hitting key points about, where it's mentioning about famines and things like that. Not really gonna go into everything, but I'm just want to hit some key points, right? So we can understand how bad the famine is going to be, right? So let's go to this right here. Second Edges, we had chapter 15, right? We're going to go to Second Edges 15, and we're going to go right here, right? It says this. I'm going to start at verse 18. I'm going to start at verse 16 so we can kind of get this context. It says, well, not context, but I'm just bear with it. Here we go. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, in invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So there's going to be a time where you're going to have a sedition among men, where you're going to have men invading one another, right? Going into each other's house, whatever. So it's going to get to that point, right? Let's jump down. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." So not only is that going to happen, you're going to have martial law, right? Because martial law is what is going to be implemented. When martial law is implemented, there are certain places that you cannot go, right? Certain places that you can't go. So with that being said, right, it's certain things. So we try to go to, let's say you might be in Florida, you ain't gonna be easy to go to Orlando, Jacksonville like that, right? Or you might not be able to cross state lines to go to Georgia, right? Or you might not be able to go to South Carolina, North Carolina, whatever it may be, right? They're gonna have restrictions and barricades up to where you can't go from one city to the next, right? But let's keep reading. It says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right? Let's get to the point. Verse 19. Right? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So it's saying there's going to be a time, right, where a man is not going to have mercy or pity upon his neighbor. Now, he might have known this neighbor for 5, 10, 20 years, right? His whole life, right? They might have borrowed each other sugar, right? They might have did a couple things, probably had cookouts, invited each other's families over, whatever, right? But there's going to come a time because of the lack of bread that all that's going to be going out the window, right? And they're going to be spoiling and destroying one another with the sword, right? And we know the modern day sword is the gun, right? And you might have somebody that might physically have a sword in their hand, right? It says, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Because during this time, you're going to have a lot, not just famine going on, you're going to have pestilence, you're going to have wars, you're going to have civil war, anarchy. It's going to be a lot going on, right? So all these things are going to add to that, right? So all these things going on, right? So now we're getting a gist that when this famine comes, it's not going to be the time we live in right now, as in how you can just go to Walmart, right? How you can just go to Publix. It's not going to be like that when the tribulation comes, right? It's not going to be like that when this famine comes. Can't just go to Walmart. Can't just go to Publix, Kroger, right? Costco's, right? Piggly Wiggly. It ain't going to be like that when that famine hit, right? That means food's going to be scarce. So people are going to be scratching to survive and just trying to get something to eat. And that's where you're going to have people going to be invading one of the homes because the food is going to be scarce. So what the next thing they're going to do? Well, I know my neighbor had this. I know my neighbor had that. So they're going to be trying to destroy their neighbor, right? Steal from their neighbor, right? Now let's go to chapter 16, right? Let's go to chapter 16, right? And when you think about this, right? Hold on. Dang it. All right, there we go. So before I go entertain that one thought, I want to continue with this, and then we'll go to that thought. All right, we're gonna jump down to we have 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Right. It says, let's start with verse 18, 16 and 18. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? So again, when it's referring to the times that's to come that we're talking about, it's going to be mourning, sorrow, right? Great death, wars, evil on massive levels, right? So when that time comes, you're going to need something to sustain you. You're going to need something to meditate on, right? And that's going to be the scriptures that we're going to go into, right? So I kind of just want to kind of build up so we can see, okay, the times, the things that's going to be going on, right? What's the mode, how things going to be, right? So it says, behold, famine, plague, and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, right? So the Lord is He's going to send this famine, the plague, and tribulation, right? I'm going to jump down, right? This is verse 22, right? Verse 6, it's chapter 16, verse 22. Check this out. It says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. That's what it says, right? Many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. Straight like that. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's nothing you can say about it. Right? Many people, they're gonna be destroyed. It's what it is. And the other that escape the hunger. So the famine is gonna be so bad that people just gonna fall. They just done. They finished. Right. And I think it said somewhere that that they're starving to death is one of the worst ways to go out, right? But so it says shall the sword destroy. So that I just want to get that so you can see that When this famine come, it ain't nothing to play with, right? It's going to be many people to perish, right? But it's not something that you should fear if you trust in the Lord. That's the point. See, without the Lord, you're finished. That's the whole setup, so you can understand how bad things really gonna be. And it's not to put fear in nobody, but it's to understand that you're going to need the Most High to make it. You're going to need the Most High just to survive. Without Him, in the times that's to come, you finish. You're done for, right? You're done for, right? So, now I want to get this other precept, right? Because one would say, like we don't see it because a lot of people they say that the Jews they require a sign, right? I'm gonna go this right here. It's Habakkuk, right? This chapter, Habakkuk chapter 2, and I'm gonna go just to verse 3, get to the point. For the vision, right, is yet for an appointed time. So that famine that's to come is for an appointed time. What Ezra seen was a vision that's going to happen for an appointed time. It's got an appointed time that this famine is going to happen, right? But at the end, it shall speak, right? And not lie, though it tarry. So you might not see it right now, though it tarry, but you're seeing a little bit. It's a beast. It's like it's in bits and pieces of it. And what do I mean when I say that? Well, if you've been paying attention, there are different farmlands that have burnt down. There was millions of cattle that end up dying, right? Chickens end up dying, partly due to the bird flu and other various reasons, right? So it's happened. It's the gears they're going. It's just again for an appointed time, right? But when it happens, it's gonna happen, right? And it's just going. The food is gonna be scarce, and there's nothing that you can do about it but rely on the Most High, right? But it says, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So point of me bringing up this precept is the famine is going to happen. It's going to happen, right? No matter what your Christian pastor say, no matter what your grandma or little Pookie or little Ray say, this famine is going to happen. It's just when it happens, you got to make sure your spirit is right with the Most High, that you truly trust in Him, and hope that He has mercy upon you. Hope, that's that faith, that He has mercy upon you, that He defends you, right, and take care of you. But that's, again, you got to do what you got to do, right? And we're going to cover that too. So I did want to kind of put that out there, right? But as a matter of fact, let me keep reading. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not aright in him, but just shall live by his faith. So that faith, man, going to take you a long way in this time of famine. It's going to take you a long way, right? So now let's go into these precepts, right? So let's go to let's start off with the classic one, Job chapter 5, right? You're gonna go here. We're gonna start at verse 18. No, it's like verse 19. It says, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee, right? So when this time comes, the different the tribulation that we're talking about, right? The martial law, the civil war, right? The plagues, right? The pestilence, all these different things, right? This number 6 is symbolic, right? It says he shall deliver thee in 6 trouble, yea, in 7 shall no evil touch thee. So that 7, it can be any, in the 7 spiritual number 2. It could be any kind, it could be multiple amounts of troubles and trials and tribulations. Because you gotta imagine during the worst time in the world, right? When there's food is scarce, right? People are losing their minds, robbing and stealing and unaliving each other. It's gonna be a lot of things, a lot of trouble you can get into, but the Lord can deliver you out of every last one of them, right? You might find yourself in a position where, you know what I'm saying, somebody might try to take your food, right? And the Lord end up defending you, right? Whether it could be many ways the Lord can defend you. Whether it be that person never seeing you, or that person, they end up getting messed up by somebody else, or you being able to overcome that person, whatever it may be. But it's the Lord's doing that. How you survive is by the Most High. Without Him, it's up and down, right? So with that being said, the Lord have many ways, the Lord, you can be in many troubles, but the Lord can deliver you out of every last one of them, right? And it says, in famine, He shall redeem thee from death, right? So it says in famine, in the time where food is scarce, in the time where you see people are not making it, dying out because they don't have any food, because they don't have any bread, right? Lord said He can redeem, He can save you. He can save you from that famine, right? And in war, from the power of the sword, right? It says it's going to be wars, right? You can be saved, right? With civil war going on and the whole country, this whole Babylon is in turmoil, right? This side versus that side. And Lord, He can spare you, right? He can protect you, right? It says, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh, right? So you won't be afraid of destruction when it cometh. It says, at destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh, right? So it says, at destruction and famine, you're going to laugh. Imagine that. When you got people out there, they're starving, they're sad, they're mad, they're confused, they don't know what's going on, right? They're going crazy in their mind, but you sitting there laughing. You laughing. You in mirth. Even though all this is going on, you laughing in mirth, right? Because of the Most High. Because the Most High is preserving you. He's taking care of you, right? While the rest of everybody else is catching hell, right? Let's go to some more precepts, right? That's going to further say it. And these are the precepts that I'm bringing out now. The things to think about, right? Like, dang man, I know it look crazy right now. I know I ain't got I done ate my last can of beans. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we just had the last slice of bread. But remember these precepts. Remember the Lord say that He can redeem you from the famine, right? He can, you be laughing, right? Let's go to this precept. In Isaiah 65:13. Therefore thus said the Lord God, behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. So Lord say, my servants, they gonna eat, man. Right? You might be thirsty, right? The wicked ones, the Negroes, the little Pookies and Ray Rays, right? The Keishas, and whatever you want to call them, right? The people that's living wicked, that's not trying to come to the Most High, that don't care about these commandments, that scoff at the Lord, right? That's not trying to repent, that's not trying to have faith and believe in Yahweh Shai. And people, man, they gonna be hungry, man. They gonna be starving out there, man. Right? But Lord said His servants, though, the elect, they gonna drink, they gonna eat, and they gonna rejoice, right? So I want to get this precept too, right? In the book of Sirach, chapter 2, right? And it's another precept too to remember too, right? And meditate on when all these different things going on, man. You seeing this stuff, because you gotta think about this now. It's one thing to say it, to talk about it right now, and say, yeah, man, I'll be trusting the Lord, but when you actually see these things, it's gonna put a spirit on you. Like, bro, what is going on? You seeing this, you seeing that, like, and you gotta remember the precepts. You gotta remember the Lord. You gotta remember the things. Remember what the Lord said, right? Remember what He told you. That's what you're gonna need. That's the type of mind. That's what you're gonna need in your mind. You might not even have your Bible, man, because you want to run. You don't say you're trying to get here, trying to get there, right? You don't know what's gonna happen. You never know. So you gotta have it in here, right, in your mind, right? And that's why it's also good to meditate on scriptures and things like that, because you get it stuck in here, right? You know what I'm saying? It's in your mind. Just like, you know what I'm saying, with anything, right? You for instance, at work, you know what I'm saying, after doing something so many times, you start to remember a certain protocol. So there might be a certain, let's say it might be a certain protocol if it's a spill, or a certain protocol if some happen at work, and you gotta follow, you gotta go through these different protocols every time when this certain thing happens. Same thing with the truth, right? When all hell break loose, when the famine come, when the pestilence come, it's a certain protocol as Israelites, God shows the people that we got to follow. What's the protocol? One is trust in the Most High, believe in the Most High, have faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That's part of protocol. Still keep these commandments. That's part of protocol, right? Trust in the Most High, keeping these commandments, right, and just having that faith, again, that faith, because you really gonna need this faith. It'll take you a long way. It'll take you a hell of a long way, right? So, Sirach 2:10, right? I'm gonna start at verse 8. It says, ye, you that the Lord believe him, and your reward shall not fail. So if you truly fear the Lord, and you gotta believe him, you gotta believe in the words that he have told us, right, through the scriptures. You gotta believe it, right? When you see all the different stories, and think about this, we talk about these different times as it comes, so we already got the heads up in our mind, like, bro, we know it's gonna happen. So when it happened, remember what the Lord said too. He telling you things gonna happen, but he also telling you what to do when it happens. How to think when it happens. That's the protocol. What to do now. Famine is here, this is what I gotta do now. This is what I need to be thinking about now. This is what I need to be meditating on right now. Right? It says, yea, you that fear the Lord, hope for good and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generation of old and see did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded. Bro, you're going to have to remember this, bro. It's a big one, like, you got to think about this. Just look at the generation of old. That's why it's so imperative for us to get inside our Bible and read. Look what the Lord have did for our forefathers. The many different miracles, even though, yes, because of our disobedience, the Lord did put us in captivity. He did many things to us, right? But he also saved us many times, many miracles, many things he have done for the children of Israel. Remember what he did for our people, for our forefathers, right? The ones that trusted in him, right? That's the key point. Remember what he did for those that trusted in him, right? They got faith, that had faith. Or did any abide in the fear of the Lord? Those people that truly fear the Lord and was obedient to him and was forsaken. Look back in your scriptures like, dang, well, who really that feared the Lord that was forsaken? Was Moses forsaken? No. When all the Egyptians was on his heel, all the Israelites trying to escape from Pharaoh. What happened? Did the Lord forsake them? He split the Red Sea. All right. What about Joshua? When all those many countries that the Israelites entered and he overcame them all, did the Lord forsake them then? No, because they abided in the fear of the Lord. What about David and all his many battles? Because he abided in the fear of the Lord, right? And was forsaken. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in a time of affliction. And we gonna need some saving. When that famine come, that pestilence come, that whatever, when that tribulation come, you're gonna need some saving. And the Lord can do that. Woe be to the fearful hearts. And this is another part why we say not to be afraid. Because say, woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, right? And the sinner that goes two ways is the point. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore shall he not be defended. So the Lord still telling you, either you're going to believe in me or you don't. If you don't believe me, you're not going. You imagine this, right? Imagine at one point in time, you got armor on, you got a shield on, you got a big high tower that you can hide behind. They got turrets on it and all that. You got the best top tier defense. But if you don't believe in the Lord, all that is gone. Your turrets is gone. Your high tower is gone. Your shield is gone. Your armor is gone. All of it is gone because you don't believe. But with the Most High, you got all that. The scriptures tell you the Lord is our refuge. When you take refuge somewhere, you take shelter. You hide. But ain't gonna be nowhere to hide without the Most High. I'm telling you, without the Most High, ain't gonna be nowhere to hide. Ain't gonna be no refuge for you. Ain't gonna be no defense. Right? Gotta think about that. Right? And I'm gonna get this other precept. Right? And it wasn't like it wasn't like a long lesson I really want to do, but I just want to bring some precept out, just to think, something to meditate on when that famine do hit, because it's gonna hit. We've seen the scriptures, right? I'm gonna get this in 1 John chapter 3, right here in it's just this right here. It says this 1 John 3 and verse 22. And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. So when again that famine, you trust in the Lord, you being obedient, you calling on him, right? He said, whatever we ask, we receive, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. Simple, right? Simple. We got to keep these commandments. We got to have faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We got to trust in the Lord, right? In the times that to come, and not be fearful, right? We just got to continue to trust in the Lord, right? And these were a couple of scriptures to kind of meditate on, right? And you can meditate. It's good to meditate on them now, right? Don't wait just to then, but think on them now, right? Because some people, when they hear about the family, they get kind of, their heart start beating a little fast. They get kind of nervous because, like, dang, this is going to be crazy. But we just got to remember what the Lord said. Just remember what Yahweh Shem Yahushua said. But I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Lord, when that was edified through the Spirit. Right? Shalom, shalom, shalom. Kwame Shalom.